Time to shine the spotlight on the Cleveland Browns, a franchise defined by passionate fans, iconic legends, heartbreaking moments, and one of the most loyal followings in all of sports. From their early dominance under Paul Brown to the glory days of Jim Brown to the move that left a city in shock and the rebirth of a new era, the Browns' story is one of resilience. But here's the question. Are the Browns finally on the path back to greatness, or will their history of heartbreak continue to haunt them? You're watching Spotlight Stories NFL, where every team has a story and we put them under the spotlight. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. The Cleveland Browns were founded in 1946 as a charter member of the All-America Football Conference, AAFC. Co-founded and coached by the legendary Paul Brown, the team was named after him, a rare distinction in professional sports. From the very beginning, the Browns set the standard for success. With quarterback Otto Graham, fullback Marion Motley, and kicker tackle Lou Groza, Cleveland won all four AAFC championships 1946 to 1949 before the league merged with the NFL. The Browns didn't miss a beat in their new league. In 1950, their very first year in the NFL, they captured the championship, stunning critics who doubted the quality of the AAFC. Over the next decade, the Browns would dominate, appearing in 7 NFL title games in their first 8 years and winning championships in 1950, 1954, and 1955. Otto Graham retired as one of the winningest quarterbacks in history, and Paul Brown cemented his reputation as one of the greatest innovators in football, introducing playbooks, film study, and even the modern face mask. The 1960s brought the rise of Jim Brown, widely regarded as one of the greatest players in NFL history. From 1957 to 1965, Jim Brown led the league in rushing 8 times in 9 seasons, set numerous records, and powered the Browns to their most recent championship in 1964, when Cleveland shut out the heavily favored Baltimore Colts 27-0. Brown shocked the football world by retiring at age 29 at the peak of his career to pursue acting. After Jim Brown's departure, the team remained competitive under stars like Paul Warfield and Leroy Kelly, but they could never quite reclaim championship dominance. By the 1970s and 1980s, the Browns became defined by resilience and heartbreak. The Cardiac Kids of 1980, led by quarterback Brian Sipe, thrilled fans with late-game heroics but fell just short in the playoffs. In the late 80s, under head coach Marty Schottenheimer and quarterback Bernie Kosar, the Browns came agonizingly close to the Super Bowl 3 times, only to be denied by John Elway's Denver Broncos in a trilogy of heartbreak: the Drive, 1986, the Fumble, 1987, and the Dog Pound's near-miracle run in 1989. The Browns' greatest tragedy came in 1995 when owner Art Modell announced he was moving the team to Baltimore. The news devastated Cleveland and sparked outrage across the NFL. After lawsuits and fan protests, the NFL brokered a historic compromise. The Browns' name, colors, and history would remain in Cleveland. The franchise was officially put on hiatus for 3 years, returning as an expansion team in 1999. The reborn Browns, however, struggled to find stability. From 1999 through the 2000s, the team cycled through coaches, general managers, and quarterbacks at a dizzying pace, becoming a symbol of NFL dysfunction. Their futility was epitomized in the 2017 season when they went 0-16, only the second winless season in the modern NFL. Yet, through it all, the Browns fan base, the legendary Dog Pound, never wavered. Known for their loyalty, intensity, and passion, Browns fans have packed stadiums through decades of heartbreak. In 2020, Cleveland finally returned to the playoffs, defeating the Steelers on the road for their first postseason win since 1994, a cathartic moment for the city. Today, the Browns' story is one of resilience. Their history includes 8 championships, 4 in the AAFC, 4 in the NFL, legends like Otto Graham and Jim Brown, decades of heartbreak, and a rebirth unlike any other in sports. The Browns are more than just a football team. They are the symbol of a city that refuses to give up. Fun fact, number 1. Did you know the Browns once drafted 2 future Hall of Famers in the same draft? In the 1957 draft, Cleveland picked Jim Brown in the first round and later grabbed Henry Jordan, a defensive tackle who became a star for Green Bay's Lombardi-era Packers. Both went on to Canton. The Browns' uniforms are iconic in their simplicity. They are the only NFL team without a logo on their helmets. Instead, the bright orange helmet itself has become the logo. Paired with brown, white, and orange uniforms, the look has remained largely unchanged since the team's founding. That plain orange helmet has become one of the most recognizable symbols in football, representing tradition, toughness, and grit. The team's earliest home was Cleveland Municipal Stadium, a massive windswept venue that sat on the edge of Lake Erie. Opened in 1931 and shared with baseball's Cleveland Indians, it became synonymous with the Browns' rise to dominance. Though the stadium could hold over 80,000 fans, it was notorious for its brutal weather. Icy winds, swirling snow, and a muddy field that tested even the toughest players. It was at Municipal Stadium in the 1980s that the Dog Pound was born, in the East End Zone, where some of the NFL's rowdiest fans gathered. Known for wearing dog masks, throwing dog bones onto the field, and unleashing deafening chants, the Dog Pound became one of football's most intimidating and infamous fan sections. For visiting teams, playing in front of that section was a nightmare. For Browns players, it was the heartbeat of Cleveland football culture. Today, the Browns play at Cleveland Browns Stadium, formerly First Energy Stadium, opened in 1999 on the same lakefront site as the old Municipal. While it's modernized with new amenities, the franchise kept the spirit of the Dog Pound alive by dedicating the East End Zone seating to the same tradition. Though much calmer than in its wilder 1980s heyday, the Dog Pound remains a unique symbol of Browns fandom, gritty, loyal, and fiercely intimidating. Fun fact number 2, did you know the Browns were nearly called the Panthers? In 1946, a local contest selected Cleveland Panthers as the team's name, but Paul Brown rejected it after discovering the rights belonged to a defunct semi-pro team. The Panthers' name would resurface decades later when Carolina joined the NFL. The Cleveland Browns' golden eras came in waves, each with its own cast of legends and unforgettable moments. The first dynasty began the moment the team took the field in 1946 under Paul Brown, powered by quarterback Otto Graham, fullback Marion Motley, kicker tackle Lou Groza, and a roster full of future Hall of Famers. The Browns became a juggernaut in the All-America Football Conference, AAFC. They won all 4 league championships, 1946 to 1949, posting a staggering 52-4-3 record in those years. When the Browns joined the NFL in 1950, skeptics doubted whether their success would translate. Graham and company silenced them instantly, defeating the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles 35-10 in their first NFL game, then capturing the league championship that same year. Between 1950 and 1955, Graham led Cleveland to 6 straight NFL title games, winning 3 of them. With 10 consecutive championship game appearances across both leagues, the Browns established themselves as one of the most dominant dynasties in football history. The 1960s belonged to Jim Brown, widely considered the greatest running back ever. Drafted in 1957, Brown changed the sport with his size, speed, and punishing running style. He led the league in rushing 8 times in 9 seasons and earned 3 MVP awards. His crowning achievement came in 1964 when he powered the Browns to a 27-0 victory over the Baltimore Colts in the NFL championship. That game remains the last championship for the franchise, and for decades it stood as Cleveland's last major sports title. Brown retired at the peak of his career in 1965, walking away as the NFL's all-time leading rusher and leaving behind a legacy of dominance that still looms over the game. The Browns' next great era came in the 1980s with the rise of the Cardiac Kids, led by quarterback Brian Sipe, who won NFL MVP in 1980. The Browns became famous for their dramatic last-minute victories. That season, they pulled off a series of thrilling finishes, earning their nickname and capturing the hearts of Cleveland fans. Municipal Stadium rocked every Sunday as the Dog Pound culture was born. The 1980 season ended in heartbreak, with a crushing playoff loss to the Oakland Raiders on the infamous Red Right 88 play, but the Cardiac Kids are still remembered as one of the most exciting Browns teams ever. Later in the decade, under head coach Marty Schottenheimer, the Browns again became perennial contenders. Quarterback Bernie Kosar and a tough, physical defense brought Cleveland to 3 AFC championship games in 4 years, 1986, 1987, 1989. Each time they fell to John Elway and the Denver Broncos, with the losses becoming some of the NFL's most infamous heartbreaks. The drive in 1986, the fumble in 1987, and a lopsided defeat in 1989. Though they never reached the Super Bowl, those Schottenheimer-era Browns remain beloved for their toughness, grit, and the way they embodied Cleveland's fighting spirit. Fun fact number 3. Did you know the term dog pound was invented by the Browns defensive backs? Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield began barking at each other during practices in the 1980s to hype up the defense. The habit spread to fans in the municipal stadium bleachers, and the dog pound was born. For all the glory of their early decades, the Browns have endured some of the darkest and most painful lows in NFL history. None cut deeper than the events of 1995, when owner Art Modell stunned the city of Cleveland by announcing he was relocating the franchise to Baltimore. The move blindsided fans and players alike. For decades, Modell had been a central figure in Cleveland sports, but behind the scenes, financial struggles and stadium disputes were mounting. Instead of working toward a new deal in Cleveland, Modell struck a secret agreement with Baltimore city officials to move the team. On November 6, 1995, he went public, and Cleveland erupted in outrage. Fans flooded City Hall, protests filled the streets, and every Browns home game that season turned into a rallying cry against Modell. The betrayal still lingers. For Clevelanders, the Browns were more than a football team. They were the beating heart of the city, the one constant in a town that lived and breathed its franchise. Modell's decision wasn't just business, it was personal. He ripped away decades of tradition and left the dog pound without a team. To this day, Modell is remembered in Cleveland not as a football visionary, but as a traitor, a man whose name is still booed whenever mentioned. His absence from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, despite his major role in shaping NFL television deals, is often attributed to the deep resentment held by Browns fans and the city itself. The franchise returned as an expansion team in 1999, but the scars of the move never healed. Cleveland Stadium had been demolished, the roster was rebuilt from scratch, and the city had lost nearly 4 years of football. The reborn Browns have struggled for stability ever since, often looking like a shadow of the proud franchise that once dominated the NFL. The wounds of 1995 remain a defining chapter in Browns history. For the dog pound, it wasn't just a relocation. It was a betrayal that branded Art Modell forever as the man who abandoned Cleveland. In a city that prides itself on loyalty, Modell is still remembered not with forgiveness, but with bitterness. To this day, many Browns fans believe their greatest low wasn't any loss on the field, but the day their team was stolen. Fun fact number 4. Did you know Jim Brown retired during the filming of a movie? In 1966, while shooting The Dirty Dozen in London, Jim Brown announced his retirement after clashing with owner Art Modell, who fined him for missing training camp. Brown walked away at 29 years old as the NFL's all-time leading rusher. The Browns' list of legends is long and illustrious. Otto Graham, the most dominant quarterback of his era, led the team to 10 straight championship appearances. Jim Brown redefined what a running back could be, winning 3 MVP awards in 9 seasons. Paul Warfield, Ozzie Newsome, and Marion Motley brought excellence to the passing game and backfield, while Lou Groza was both a Hall of Fame tackle and one of the league's best kickers. Defensive greats like Clay Matthews Jr., Hanford Dixon, and Frank Minifield, who coined the dog pound nickname, and modern icons like Joe Thomas, a Hall of Fame tackle who endured years of losing but never missed a snap, all reflect the toughness of Cleveland football. Fun fact number 5. Did you know Otto Graham's Browns never missed a championship game? From 1946 to 1955, the Browns reached the league championship every single season Graham played in 10 straight years. No other quarterback in pro football history has ever matched that streak. The Browns' coaching history is just as dramatic as their ownership story. The team's namesake, Paul Brown, coached from 1946 to 1962, pioneering many of the strategies still used today. After him, Blanton Collier led the team to their last championship in 1964. Later years saw Marty Schottenheimer build tough, competitive teams in the 1980s, but his conservative style led to playoff heartbreak. Since the franchise's rebirth in 1999, the Browns have cycled through a staggering number of head coaches, from Butch Davis to Romeo Crennel, Eric Mangini, Hugh Jackson, and others, often leaving fans frustrated by constant resets. Today, Kevin Stefanski holds the reins, tasked with finally bringing stability and postseason consistency back to Cleveland. The Browns entered the 2025 NFL Draft with an eye on adding muscle in the trenches and playmakers on offense. After trading down from the number 2 pick to number 5, Cleveland selected Mason Graham, a dominant defensive tackle from Michigan, a two-time All-American and anchor of Michigan's national championship defense. Graham brings gap-penetrating ability and a relentless motor that should help fortify the interior of Cleveland's defensive line. In the second round, the Browns doubled up on impact players, selecting Carson Schwesinger, a physical linebacker from UCLA, and Quinshon Judkins, a dynamic running back from Ohio State, whose explosiveness and versatility make him a natural complement to the team's backfield rotation. Cleveland continued to add offensive weapons on day two with Harold Fannin Jr., a tight end from Bowling Green. Fannin is an athletic pass catcher with strong hands who offers playmaking ability behind David Njoku. Later in the third round, the Browns addressed their quarterback depth by drafting Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon, a seasoned passer with extensive experience in high-pressure games. On day three, the Browns grabbed another offensive spark in Dylan Sampson, a speedy and elusive running back from Tennessee who provides depth and third down potential. The team capped their draft with one of its most intriguing picks, landing Shedeur Sanders in the fifth round. Once projected as a much higher selection, Sanders brings accuracy, poise, and long-term upside to Cleveland's quarterback room. Overall, the Browns left the 2025 draft with a class headlined by defensive power, backfield explosiveness, and developmental quarterbacks aiming to build a foundation for both the present and the future. From the dynasties of Paul Brown and Otto Graham to the greatness of Jim Brown to the agony of relocation and rebirth, the Cleveland Browns' story is unlike any other in the NFL. Their fans, the Dog Pound, have endured heartbreak after heartbreak, but remain among the most loyal in sports. The question now is simple. Will this new era finally bring Cleveland back to the top of the NFL? Or will the Browns remain a team defined more by what might have been than what is? Don't forget to like and subscribe to Spotlight Stories NFL, where every team has a story and we put them under the spotlight.